Get the fastest internet available in North Central Washington by switching to LocalTel and get speeds up to 1,000 meg. Call 888-8888 today or go online to localtel.net.
It's time for NCW Life News on the NCW Life channel. The latest from the Wenatchee Valley and North Central Washington with Steve Hare, Grant Olson, and sports with Eric Granstrom.
Good Tuesday evening and welcome to the NCW Life Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to today's top stories, let's take a quick look outside our very wintry weather window today, where we did see snow showers begin to fall late this morning, and they have continued pretty much all throughout our afternoon. Just kind of a rain-snow mix in the Wenatchee area as we look down at Wenatchee Avenue. Of course, the Coast Hotel in the foreground, but some snow actually accumulating in East Wenatchee. We're 1 to 2 inches on the ground there. And we will see a lot of precipitation before this storm system moves out. Here in Wenatchee, we could receive over 5/10 of an inch of moisture, almost an inch up north around the Omak area, and big totals to our east as well in the darker green areas around Spokane, where they will pick up over an inch of precipitation out of melted snow and a rain-snow mix. And here's the timeline of that storm system as it moves through. This isn't the only one we'll see this week. Today and tonight, we'll continue to see this storm bring us a rain-snow mix. A little bit of a break on Wednesday afternoon before another storm moves in again on Thursday, and that will once again increase our chances for some snow and rain-snow mix, and another storm then by the time we move into the upcoming weekend. We'll have all those weather details coming up for you a little bit later on. And now a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. About 30 Douglas County PUD customers were knocked off the power grid overnight, and jurors were seated yesterday as the trial of former East Wenatchee Utilities Commissioner Mike McCourt got underway. Today, a plea deal. But first, we begin tonight. Wenatchee police are searching for 2 suspects in connection with a home invasion robbery on the city's south side overnight. Captain Edgar Reinfeld says the 2 men forced their way into a Methouse Street home and assaulted one of the occupants.
2 males kicked in the front door of a residence, one armed with a bat and one armed with a gun that was later determined to be a BB gun, and were attempting to rob the victim. They both assaulted the victim in this case, who fought back rather aggressively and managed to drive the 2 of them out of their house while also disarming them. We've recovered both the bat and BB gun in question before they fled into the neighborhood.
Captain Reinfeld says the 2 suspects are still at large. They were dressed in all black clothing, with both men wearing white hockey-style masks. He says the victim's home appears to have been targeted, but no motive has been determined. Last night around 9:30, about 30 Douglas County PUD customers were knocked off the power grid overnight after a vehicle damaged a power pole in the Fancher Heights area near East Wenatchee. Megan Vibert with the PUD says the outage was first reported about 1:30 this morning. Power was restored to the majority of customers by 6 a.m. Earlier this afternoon, in a statement released by the Douglas County Undersheriff, Kevin Morris said that when deputies arrived on the scene, the pole had been sheared off at the base, with it dangling by the wires. The vehicle that struck the pole had extensive damage, with the driver still inside. The driver was transported to Central Washington Hospital for his injuries and is still under treatment. It's been determined that alcohol was involved in the crash, and the driver was cited for driving with wheels off the roadway and DUI. Well, just as jurors were seated yesterday as the trial of former East Wenatchee Utilities Commissioner and Douglas County Sewer District Commissioner Mike McCourt got underway, today a plea deal. Earlier this afternoon, McCourt pled guilty to a single count of child molestation. Deputy Prosecutor Gordon Edgar offered the plea agreement late yesterday after the 2 sides spent the full day in jury selection. The plea deal could allow McCourt to serve as little as 12 months in home confinement and undergo treatment for sexual deviancy. The 77-year-old McCourt was charged in 2016 with the rape of a then 8-year-old boy who says McCourt sexually abused him throughout the summer of 2015. As part of the plea, McCourt admitted to visiting Grant County Superior Court Judge David Estolito that he had inappropriately touched the child for his own sexual gratification. Following whatever confinement is handed down, McCourt will remain on community supervision for the rest of his life and must register as a sex offender. As we reported yesterday, the Chelan County Superior Court has a new judge. Governor Jay Inslee announced on Monday the appointment of Robert B.C. McSeveny to replace Judge T.W. Chip Small, who is retiring at the end of the month after more than 26 years on the bench. McSeveny says he was honored by the appointment and is ready to get started.
I'm very humbled by the appointment, the confidence the governor, after vetting everybody, had in me. So it's a humbling experience. I'm looking forward to serving the courts. Like I said, I've been serving the district court down the Chelan District Court for a while, and I really enjoyed it and learned a lot more, about the Superior Court. But as the governor's release says, I've been a judge for a long time, so you get a sense of what a court's like and the processes and things. So I'm anxious to get through the judicial college and then get on the bench.
McSeveny is currently a pro tem judge in the Chelan and Okanagan County District Courts. For more than 17 years, McSeveny served as a municipal court judge in Kent. Over 9 of those years, he also acted as a pro tem judge in King County Superior Court. His appointment is effective February 2018. Well, coming up next, we'll take a closer look at the Wenatchee School District's $120 million bond proposal, and new tax laws mean changes for area businesses. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life Evening News.
Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house, featuring great family dining in downtown Chelan. We've got burgers, pub fare, and the best barbecue around. Try one of our award-winning sauces made fresh here in-house. So grab the whole gang and come on down. Stormy Mountain Brewing. Beer, barbecue, friends, and beer.
Hi, I'm Cordell Schroeder, owner of East Wenatchee Mobile Storage.
If you're thinking about making a move anytime soon, check out the East Wenatchee Mini Storage brand new mobile storage service. They drop it off at your location, you pack it, and they pick it up and store it in their protected warehouse at East Wenatchee for as long as you need. When you're ready, they'll drop it off at your new home or office. East Wenatchee Mini Storage is excited to offer this brand new service to our region.
Call 509-884-8643 or find us on the web at ewministorage.com.
Travel enhances your life in every way. Let the travel professionals at Journey Travel and Tours help you plan that dream vacation. Don't leave the important details to those nameless, faceless online agencies. At Journey Travel and Tours, our goal is to build relationships that last a lifetime. And when you do need help, we have a 24-hour helpline that is routed to one of the agents in our office. When you think travel, think Journey Travel and Tours. It's where your journey begins. Like us on Facebook, and you could be one of our monthly winners.
Welcome back. In other news, the Wenatchee School District is putting a $120 million bond before voters this April to pay for the renovation and expansion of Wenatchee High School. Upgrades to the aging building would include a new commons area, updated classrooms with windows, a new music room, and more, according to Superintendent Brian Flonis, who spoke more on the bond with Capital Bond Committee member John McQuaig on this morning's Wake Up Wenatchee Valley with Dan Kuntz.
We've utilized all the spaces we can inside, but it's really a lot of cubicle classrooms, that have no windows, and the learning environments, it's served us well, but it's time to address the needs that we have at Wenatchee.
And they're small. They're way too small, a lot of these classrooms.
Yeah, a lot of them are too small. Standard high school classrooms, 900 square feet. A lot of these classrooms are about 750 square feet. Well, that's the front of the high school, and as you see, what we tried to show here is the new music green room area on the left by the auditorium, and then the 3-story new 157,000 square foot construction in the back to try to see what the symmetry was. So we're thinking, well, how tall is it going to be? But it's going to be about the same height as the auditorium.
We've got a mariachi program that has, I think, 250 students in it. And of course, in 1974, there was no mariachi program. and so they really have no place. They're kind of squeezed in with band. We've got a lot of good music stuff going on, and so that gives them a space as well as a green room for actors when they're with the productions that are going on, which we don't have any of that kind of space either. So everything's kind of gotten squeezed out.
Flonis broke down how the bond, if approved, would affect district residents' property tax rates.
Well, we're looking at the assessed property value. So if you look at that, right now I think it's about $300,000 is on average the assessed value of a home in Wenatchee. So for the $1.17 increase per thousand of our assessed value for this $120 million bond, it would be $351 for somebody who had a house that was assessed at $300,000 or $29.25 a month.
For more information on the district bond and the full version of this morning's interview, visit ncwlifes.com on-demand programs. Well, the coming of the new year means changes for businesses large and small in the state of Washington. Certified public accountant Pete Lucchini of Cordell Neer & Company says many of the new laws kicked in January 1st.
So there's a couple different leave laws that have recently taken place. There's the new mandatory paid sick leave law that came about when they increased the minimum wage. So there's a new minimum wage as of January 1st this year to $11.50 an hour, and then with that came a paid sick leave policy. So for every 40 hours worked, a non-exempt employee gets 1 hour of paid leave. So that equates to about 1 minute and 30 seconds for every hour worked, or about, I think, 12 days a year.
Lucchini says the family leave law won't start until 2019.
Employees and employers will both pay into this. Employees will pay, I believe, 60% of the premium. It's going to be funded kind of like an L&I tax on their wages, so it's based on how much they work. And then the employer will pay 40%. However, if an employer has fewer than 50 employees, they can opt out of paying that tax. So you'll still pay it on your wages, but not on the employer side. And so what happens is they'll start collecting that in January of 2019, collect it from everybody, and then the benefits are going to be eligible for people starting in 2020.
Lucchini says the new laws will definitely have an impact on small business owners.
Well, you know, I'm a small business owner myself, and I have a perspective on this that may be a little influenced. And I work for a lot of small business clients, and you know, we have some concerns about ultimately the cost, and perhaps some abuses maybe, but you know, really it's just overall an additional tax that hits all of our bottom lines substantially.
Lucchini recommends business owners stay in touch with their accountants and/or bookkeepers on the new laws. Tax Tips with Cordell Neer & Company is coming in February during Let's Learn with Eric Granstrom right here on the NCW Life channel. Chelan County Commissioners say they're pleased with the outcome of the Hearst water debate. They say the legislature's actions are consistent with water policies already established right here in Chelan County.
The advantages we did have is that Mike Caputa and his department had done so much work ahead of time that actually in the Hearst decision it was Chelan County was referenced as the way it should be done.
The commissioners discussed the Hearst water fixed in detail. Stay tuned for more in our feature report later in the newscast for more details. You're watching the NCW Life Evening News. Coming up next, your sports update, followed by today's feature story. That and much more still to come on the NCW Life Evening News. Stay with us.
For plumbing, heating, or cooling repair, Patriot will be right there.
Time to replace your home comfort system? This Lennox dealer can help.
If it's time to replace your old furnace or air conditioner, Patriot Plumbing, Heating and Cooling gives free estimates. Call Patriot today.
Patriot Plumbing, Heating and Cooling will give your home a hug.
Lennox, innovation never felt so good.
Hey, this is Justin at Club Crow Bar and Grill reminding you it's your place for famous blues, brews, and barbecue. We are your one-stop bar and grill, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Jam sessions and live bands playing a wide range of music. If pool tables or pull tabs are more your thing, we have you covered. Enjoy the fun and food at Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere. Stop on by today.
now, it's a sports update on the NCW Life channel.
Hi, I'm Jay Seebeck filling in for Eric Granstrom on tonight's Sports Report. He's out at Eastmont Lanes covering the District Bowling Championships for the girls high school bowling in the state. So we're going to look at our sports broadcast schedule on the NCW Live channel. Tonight we are airing at 7 o'clock Eastmont at Wenatchee Wrestling, and that is with a very special moment between Eric and his dad.
This is the thrill for me because we've done a little radio wrestling before back in the day on KPQ with the state tournament in Tacoma, but I get a chance to get you on TV today, Dad.
Wonderful.
Talk about your background for those folks who don't know about you as far as a longtime coach, longtime official here in the state of Washington.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, my career started in the 60s. Not the 1860s, the 1960s. However, for most, that probably is about the same. And I coached at Cedar Woolley in one of the more famous programs in the state of Washington. I was the junior high, not middle school, but 7th, 8th, and 9th grade coach there under the head coaching auspices of a man named Spud Wally, who's in the Hall of Fame for the wrestling coaches in the state.
That will be one you won't want to miss. And then moving on into Thursday night is hockey night. Starting at 7 p.m., you'll be able to watch the Call of the Wild and then followed by Clarkie's Corner and watch the Wild's overtime thriller against Victoria from last Friday. On Friday night, Eastmont hosts West Valley in Big 9 basketball with the girls live at 5:30, followed by the boys with Eric and Grant Olson here on the NCW Live channel. Okay, let's see what's happening around the area today in prep sports. The District 6 Bowling Championships were earlier this afternoon at Eastmont Lanes. Eastmont played host to Wenatchee, Eisenhower, and Moses Lake as the Wildcats attempted to repeat as district champions. Eric Granstrom has the report from Eastmont Lanes.
We're here at Eastmont Lanes for the District 6 Bowling Championships, and boy, this is a tight one. Through the first two games, Eastmont narrowly had a lead over Wenatchee by just 8 pins. It was Eastmont edging everybody else in the first game with a 9:31 count. Wenatchee topped everybody else in the second game with a 9:20 count. But after 2 and heading into 3, it looks like Eastmont's extending that lead a little bit. It's 7 Bakers after this. Only the top team will advance to the state 4A championships. Of course, Eastmont hoping for a return trip and to defend their state title. But right now, it's Eastmont 1, Wenatchee 2 here at Eastmont.
Other things going around the prep area tonight. On the mats, we have OMAC as cited for a double duel between the Pioneers, Cascade, Kashmir, and Okanagan at 6 o'clock. Eastmont is at Eisenhower at 7, and Wenatchee wrestles at West Valley, also starting at 7. In high school hoops tonight, first it's girls play Chelan at Okanagan, and Cascade hosts OMAC at 5:45. Then at 6, it's Cascade Christian at Moses Lake. Bridgeport travels to Mansfield, and Bridgeport travels to play Waterville Mansfield, and Manson's on the road at Brewster. The boys' schedule looks kind of the same. Cascade and Chelan have 7:15 start times, while all of the rest play at 7:30. Washington State University announced Patrick Chun as its new athletic director on Monday. The Seattle Times reports that Chun becomes the 14th athletic director for the university after Bill Moose left for Nebraska in October. According to the Times, Chun is the first Asian American athletic director to lead a Power 5 school. The school officially introduced Patrick Chun as the athletic director earlier today in a press conference. They had planned to do so last Wednesday, but held off after the news of Tyler Helinski's death. The Seahawks added another Pro Bowl player to their roster. Defensive end Michael Bennett was added Monday as an injury replacement for Minnesota's Everson Griffin. Of the 6 Seahawks players selected to go to the Pro Bowl, only 3 are expected to play. Bobby Wagner pulled out because of his continuing issues with that hamstring, and Jimmy Graham chose not to play. There was no official word on whether Graham's withdrawal, or other than suspicion he doesn't want to get injured, since he could become a free agent starting in March. Expect to see Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin, and Michael Bennett. The Pro Bowl is at noon on Sunday. You can watch that on ESPN. That's all for me on your sports. Back to you, Grant.
In tonight's feature story, it appears that the state legislature used Chelan County as its model for new guidelines on water conservation. Lawmakers last week came to an agreement on a solution to fix the highly controversial Supreme Court Hearst ruling. The commissioners discussed the issue in an interview with NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
We're grateful that it's finally settled and there is more certainty, because there were a number of individuals that were somewhat left hanging because they'd purchased property intending to build, and then they were told, you know, you may not have water. And financial institutions were also concerned about loaning money for projects that may or may not actually have the water available. So having that certainty means a lot to the building community, just to individual landowners. There's still some questions, I think, statewide as to how much water can be withdrawn, but I'm sure they'll continue to work on that.
Okay, now, as a result of this decision or agreement that they've now established these WIRAs, is that right? Well, how does that work for Chelan County?
Well, there in Chelan County we have the WIRA 45 is the Wenatchee. And then there's a WIRA for the Aniat and for the Lake Chelan, and then the Wenatchee and Squilchuck areas. And in fact, we share, in the Squilchuck, we share a WIRA. It's split between Chelan and Kittitas County. So those are water resource inventory areas, and those are the areas that have to determine how much water is available. I do want to mention, though, that Senator Hawkins was very helpful in making sure that the 12th District was cared for. I mean, when I say cared for, I mean the concerns were addressed. I mean, he really did work, you know, diligently to make sure that our concerns were cared for. And Mike Caputa was very much involved with the Senator's staff in making sure that the concerns and the efforts that had been done in each of these watersheds that I've mentioned, you know, were certainly, you know, upheld the findings.
Okay. One of the advantages we did have is that Mike Caputa and his department had done so much work ahead of time that actually in the Hearst decision it was Chelan County was referenced as the way it should be done, and that's one of the reasons why when this final Hearst agreement has come out is that because of the work that had been done, we came out fairly well. And now we can go back to the issues that involve each individual watershed and not be hampered by the Hearst. The water situation isn't solved, but it sure makes it back to just something we are working out rather than being dictated to us.
And we'll be back in just a moment with the recap of some of today's stories and your complete local weather forecast right after this.
Honey, I got the space heater.
Make sure you survive winter. Call Central Washington Heating and Air before it's too late. This winter, don't get shocked by the cold. Call Central Washington Heating and Air today.
Antique Mall at Cashmere wishes you a happy and prosperous new year. With 15,000 square feet to explore, Antique Mall at Cashmere has something for everyone. For repurposing projects, do-it-yourselfers, and those with a keen eye for making something old fresh and new again, this is the place to find your next project. Antique Mall at Cashmere, their friendly staff is here to help you. Stop on by today.
Bay Equity Home Loans in Wenatchee, serving all of North Central Washington. We make it our priority to learn all about your financial needs. Whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or want a reverse mortgage, our mortgage professionals are ready to guide you through the loan process. We have a wide variety of loan products to fit your family's needs. Call Bay Equity Home Loans of Wenatchee today for your pre-approval. 509-888-0466.
Time now for a recap of some of our top stories. Wenatchee police are searching for 2 suspects in connection with a home invasion robbery on the city's south side overnight. Captain Edgar Reinfeld says the 2 men forced their way into a Methouse Street home and assaulted one of the occupants.
2 males kicked in the front door of a residence, one armed with a bat and one armed with a gun that was later determined to be a BB gun. and were attempting to rob the victim. They both assaulted the victim in this case, who fought back rather aggressively and managed to drive the two of them out of their house while also disarming them. We've recovered both the bat and BB gun in question before they fled into the neighborhood.
Captain Reinfeld says the two suspects are still at large. They were dressed in all black clothing, with both men wearing white hockey-style masks. He says the victim's home appears to have been targeted, but no motive has been determined. About 30 Douglas County PUD customers were knocked off the power grid overnight after a vehicle damaged a power pole in the Fancher Heights area near East Wenatchee. Megan Vibert with the PUD says the outage was first reported about 1:30 this morning. Power was restored to the majority of customers by 6 a.m. Earlier this afternoon, in a statement released by the Douglas County Undersheriff Kevin Morris, he said that when deputies arrived on scene, the pole had been sheared off at the base with it dangling by the wire. The vehicle that struck the pole had extensive damage, with the driver still inside. The driver was transported to Central Washington Hospital for his injuries and is still under treatment. It has been determined that alcohol was involved in the crash, and the driver was cited for driving with the wheels off the roadway and DUI. Well, there were some anxious moments overnight for residents of southeast Alaska after a 7.9 earthquake triggered a tsunami advisory. The quake struck at around 1:30 this morning and was epicentered about 175 miles southeast of Kodiak Island. A tsunami watch was issued shortly after that, but it's since been canceled. There were no reports of any damage or injuries from that quake. Time now for your weather forecast for north central Washington. But before we get to those details, let's take a look outside our weather window, where once again it was a wet one throughout most of north central Washington today. We did see snow and then snow rain mix throughout a lot of the day today, with most of the snowfall, accumulated snowfall, up in the East Wenatchee area and elevations a little bit higher than that. As we take a look at what's happening as far as our satellite goes, we are seeing a large area of low pressure that's moving up the coastline right now, and another area of low pressure, as you can see, well out in the Pacific. The two are pretty much combined, and that's bringing us a very strong conveyor belt of precipitation right into Washington state. Our favorable flow for precipitation is from the south and southwest, and you can tell by the arrows in the wind direction that that's where this storm system is coming from. So we do have the chance for at least a ½ inch of precipitation out of this, maybe an inch or two of snow before it's all said and done in the Wenatchee area, even though, as I mentioned, we are seeing some of that throughout East Wenatchee. But we will continue to see a very active weather pattern through the week and into the upcoming weekend, with the capability once again of picking up about 1 to 2 inches of snow at times throughout the forecast period. We have a 100% chance of snow tonight, and once again tomorrow about a 60% chance of the wet stuff. Let's take a look at that forecast now, and tonight we will drop down to not much different than our temperature today, about 33 degrees overnight. Once again, a chance for more precip tomorrow and into Thursday, with high temperatures in the upper 30s. A break on Friday before the next round of storminess moves in on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, with highs then in the upper 30s. And that will do it for our newscast tonight. We do thank you for joining us, and for more information on these stories and other news from around north central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-NCWL. Also, keep it right here on the NCW Life channel tomorrow morning for Wake Up Wenatchee Valley with your host Dan Kuntz and News with Steve Hare. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.
This has been NCW Life News on the NCW Life channel. For more news, log on to ncwlife.com, like us on Facebook, and follow NCW Life channel on Twitter.
Hi, I'm Blair from Works, your workout prescription. Have you ever started an exercise program and struggled to keep it going? So what if I told you that with this MyZone device, I could increase your chances of self-motivated exercise adherence by over 200%. Combine that with an exercise prescription specifically for your level of readiness, we'll increase it even more. And that's our new member success system. It's $99. It's exclusively at Works. It includes your MyZone belt. Works, your workout RX NEWS-EG-20180123-5.com.
Thursday night, Hockey Night on the NCW Life Channel. It all begins at 7 o'clock with a call of the Wild and Clarkie's Corner. Then it's non-stop hockey action with the voice of the Wild, Arch Ecker. Join us as the Wild battle the rest of the BCHL. Thursday night is Hockey Night on the NCW Life Channel.